I imagine that some of you watching this have been somewhat concerned that this has not been very supportive of phonics, and certainly those of you that are in the whole language camp would say that this has not been supportive of whole language. I'd like to take just a moment and kind of clarify that. Number one, I understand the whole language. I understand it in the sense that human beings are primarily, fundamentally meaning-oriented. We seek meaning. We are attracted to the meaning. We want to get at the meaning of things. So we want to get through whatever the surface structure of things is to its essential meaning. That's how we learn best. Problem is, that's the way we naturally learn. And we have to make a distinction between natural modes of learning, which are proprioceptive, which we can sense ourselves on the living edge of doing, and artificial learning, where instead of having a relationship with something that's a naturally evolved process, like walking and talking and manipulating objects and so forth, which are real-time edge of now experiences, we're talking about dealing with an artifact, a technology, a series of conventions invented by human beings. And that in order to process those, there's a different kind of challenge. There's no internal reference in the same way. There's an external dependency. So, learning to read is an artificial processing challenge. And in that sense, the natural modes of learning, which can kick in later once the mechanics are transparent, can interfere with our approach to learning to read the code, at least at this stage. So I want to say that I appreciate the spirit of whole language, where it's coming from, and that it's short-sighted with respect to the fact that this is an unnaturally confusing technological artifact that requires very specific types of high-speed machinations, kind of high-speed machine like we've been talking about, has to form in the brain to process this code. And that's not going to just appear magically. Sight word vocabulary will take you so far and crash, as has been shown over and over again. So, whole language has real limitations, right? It's not helpful, particularly to children that are struggling. It might be argued that children that have really powerful innate neurobiological endowment, who have had the gift of a very empowering early life learning trajectory, as Reed Lyon would say, they can read with any cockamamie system. They can read with no matter how they're instructed. But for all those kids that are less than ready, less than optimally ready for the challenge of learning to read, they need explicit systematic instruction. Now, having said that, phonics, there's nothing right about phonics. Phonics is analogous to saying there's lead in our gasoline, right? And we don't want people to get poisoned by it, so we're going to give them pills to kind of counteract the poison in the gasoline, rather than dealing with the fact the gasoline's got poison in it. Or it's analogous to Microsoft or Apple or some software company coming out with a piece of software that 60% of the users that are trying to use it are having all kinds of trouble with, and that rather than fixing the software, they're sending out training programs to train the minds of the users to be able to deal with the mess in their software. I mean, it's ridiculous. Phonics is like that. It's a patch. It's a workaround. Now, it's the best thing we got right now. I think it's unfortunate it's the best thing we got. It's the best thing we got because of the paradigm inertia we spoke about earlier. I think if we were really concerned with the general health of learning and we really understood and embraced the kind of artificial challenge this is, and we weren't afraid of the code war reform folly arguments, then we would find and develop new conductive pathways, new stairways through this.